Welcome into the Friday weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. Voice is a little bit better, Wade?
Coming on, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I hear, I hear the velvety tones are returning a little bit.
I don't know about velvety tones, and I don't know about returning, but it doesn't feel as hard to talk as it has earlier this week. So we're going to take that as a plus. Big show to close out the week, obviously, with last night's first round of the NFL draft. We'll be visiting with Titan insider Terry McCormick in the second hour to get his read on how things went for the Titans last night and how they should go over the next couple of days. In the next segment, we'll be speaking with Jeff Ham, the play-by-play announcer for the Nashville Sounds, catching up with him. They are halfway through a series in Louisville, and the news isn't good so far. But we will check in with him. Also, the Sounds will be returning to First Horizon Park on Tuesday for a 6-game series against the reigning AAA champion Norfolk Tides, and they're getting some reinforcements as it turns out. So we will check in with Jeff on all of that. Also, some Braves. Again, we've talked about their big series this weekend against visiting Cleveland. Dig a little deeper into that. Also going to talk about the Houston Astros. Wade, you mentioned earlier this week that they had a 2-game series this weekend, and I thought that was odd because I've never heard of a team being off on Fridays. But did a little digging, and now we know why they're playing a 2-game series. We'll get into that more in segment 3 as we delve into some Braves and some Major League Baseball. Again, NFL draft opened up last night on the first round, and it was interesting. There were some interesting little side notes, undertones to that first round. We're going to dig a little deeper into some of those in the second hour, and we will get into our weekend update, what we're looking forward to here over the next couple of days before we reconvene on Monday. So, Wade, how's your Friday been so far?
Been so far so good here in Nashville, and it was an interesting bag last night at Nissan Stadium as the crowd was ready to erupt, and they did erupt when Joe Alt was taken off the board at number 5, and so they had to kind of pivot. They erupted again in the similar tones when Malik Neighbors went off the board right before them, and then they finally got their guy with J.C. Latham at number 7. But vibes are good. The Preds will be playing tonight, as we'll get into a little bit later, and then it's marathon weekend in Nashville too. So this is a happening time. And now we get into the real meat of the NFL draft, right? Like this is where the football nerds kind of do their thing, and they break down guys that may not even be on their roster by the time the season rolls around, or as we've seen, some of these 6th and 7th round picks, sometimes you strike gold and they turn into future Hall of Famers.
Absolutely. That's where GMs make their money right there. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get a little deeper into that again with Terry McCormick here in the second hour. I guess, Wade, at this point, with no further ado, we need to give the folks yesterday's results and this weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
All right, boys and girls, the Friday rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. So contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or visit his website at choosechip.net. That's Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
High school baseball results from Thursday. Siegel with an 8-3 win over Blackman. Columbia Academy 11, Zion Christian 1. Cookville with a 2-1 win over Wilson Central. It was Clarksville Academy 12, Donaldson Christian nothing. Forest with a 5-2 win over Mount Pleasant. Friendship Christian 24, Nashville Christian nothing. Not very friendly at all on the part of the Commanders there. Gallatin with a 15-2 win over Antioch. Good Pasture 11, Ezel Harding 1. Hampshire in a shootout 20-12 over Franklin Christian. Hillsboro 6, East Nashville 5. Hopkinsville, Kentucky 15, West Creek nothing. Overton with a 13-3 win over Smyrna. Speaking of not very friendly, Fort Campbell of Kentucky 32, Kenwood 6. Loretto 6-2 over Scotts Hill. Hume Fogg with a 20-8 win over Maplewood. Dixon County 16, Montgomery Central 2. Riverdale defeated Oakland 7-4. It was Culleoka 3, Perry County 1. In the Battle of Giles County, it was the Bobcats with an 8-7 win over Richland. Lawrence County 11, Spring Hill 9. Late comeback by the Wildcats in that one. Hendersonville with a 6-3 win over Station Camp. It was Eagleville 17, Summertown 7. Waverly with an 8-1 win over Fairview. And White House Heritage swept a doubleheader from Springfield 13-4 and 14-1.
Softball scores from last night. I can tell you, folks, that it was Green Hill defeating Beach 12-2. Brentwood knocked off Ravenwood. Close battle there. 2-1 was your final tally. Nolensville picked up a 5-0 win versus Centennial. Columbia Central defeating Shelbyville 6-1 was your score there. East Robertson winning a one-run ball game 4-3 versus visiting Westmoreland. Mount Juliet 10, Gallatin 3. Summertown defeated Independence by 2 touchdowns, as it were. 14-0 was your final there. Good win for Summit yesterday versus their rivals. Overton defeats McGavock 7-3. Cookeville knocks off Laverne 7-0. The Giles County Lady Bobcats, they remain undefeated in district play, picking up a 7-4 win versus rival Lawrence County last night. Greenbrier knocked off Macon County 7-2. Friendship Christian defeating Nashville Christian 13-6 was your tally there. Oakland knocking off Blackman 11-2. Bats were out for the Lady Patriots of Page as they knocked off Franklin 24-1. Big lopsided result there between those two longtime rivals. Siegel defeating Riverdale 9-8. It was Rockvale 7, Warren County 6, Culleoka 6, Santa Fe 2. Smyrna defeating Stewart's Creek 8-6. Summertown knocking off Zion Christian 3-2. Tullahoma cruises to an 11-1 win versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Henry County knocking off West Creek 12-1. And wrapping up softball scores yesterday, close ball game, White House 2, Station Camp 1.
On the pitch yesterday, Oakland with a 2-0 win over Blackman. It was Cookeville 4, Stewart County 0, Rockvale 4, Giles County 3, Clarksville 1-0 over Overton. Smyrna with a 4-1 victory against Lebanon. It was Siegel 4, Riverdale 0. Also, Shelbyville Blank and Spring Hill 1-0. Stone Memorial with a 6-0 win over Watertown, and Zion Christian 2. Agathos Classical 0. In the majors yesterday, the Astros going into that off day today with a 3-1 loss to the host Chicago Cubs after leading 1-0 early in that one. The Sounds dropped their third game of the series at Louisville, falling 9-5 yesterday. And again, we'll be speaking with Jeff Ham in the next segment regarding the Sounds, so stay with us here.
Heading into the week.
Go ahead. Never mind. No,
I was going to say, heading into the weekend, your baseball schedule, these are games being played today. At 4:30 this afternoon, East Nashville will be at Antioch. Franklin Road Academy is set for a doubleheader tonight at Middle Tennessee Christian, 4:30 and 7 o'clock. Same schedule, 4:30 and 7, as University School of Nashville will travel to Columbia Academy.
Those are playoff games, by the way.
Postseason action. So 2 big contests. Come out and check them out as the stakes get a little higher for those squads there. Ravenwood will be at Portland at 4:30 today. White House Heritage and Joe Burns capping our 4:30 first pitches. 5 o'clock starts as Summertown is visiting Columbia Central. Richland will be at East Robertson. Houston County is at McEwen. 5:30 showdowns tonight. McCracken County, Kentucky will be at Clarksville. Frank Hughes is at Hampshire. Camden Central is at Pope John Paul II. 6 o'clock window. Smith County will be at Beach. Cannon County is at Culleoka. CPA traveling to Dixon County. Greenbrier is at Wilson Central. McGavock taking a trip over to Gallatin tonight. Rossview will be at Green Hill. Santa Fe is at Hickman County. It'll be South Warren, Kentucky at Page tonight. Loretto will travel to Scotts Hill. Zion Christian is at Clarksville Christian. These games now beginning at 6:30. Again, Zion Christian at Clarksville Christian starting our 6:30 games. Lincoln County traveling to Giles County tonight. Overton is at Laverne. Other 6:30 game wrapping up that window, as it were, was Hume Fogg at Westmoreland. And at 7 o'clock tonight, you can see Brentwood at Siegel, Sycamore at West Creek, and you can also catch Cheatham County Who's at White House?
Saturday baseball action at 11 o'clock. Culleoka is at Mount Pleasant. Mount Juliet Christian travels to Donaldson Christian for an 11:30 first pitch. High noon for Todd County Central of Kentucky at Clarksville Northwest. Also, Mount Juliet is at Columbia Central at 12 noon. Gallatin travels to Cookeville for a noon showdown. Christ Presbyterian is at Franklin at 12 noon. Todd County Central plays at Kirkwood at 12. I don't think that's possible. But anyway, that's what we've got here on the schedule. Kenwood is at Montgomery Bell Academy at 12 noon. Also, Zion Christian goes to Moore County for a noon game. Waverly is at Pope Prep at noon. Also, Station Camp is at Upperman. At 1 o'clock, Beach is at Stewart's Creek. Lawson travels to Brentwood Academy. 2 o'clock, Zion Christian plays at Moore County. So apparently that's a doubleheader there between the Eagles and the Raiders. At 4, Nashville Christian is at Ezel Harding. Summertown goes to Lawrence County for a 5 o'clock contest. At 6, it's Rockvale at Lebanon. Montgomery Central is at Dixon County. Also, Good Pasture is at Friendship Christian at 6:30. Times not listed for Eagleville and Murfreesboro Central, Clarksville Academy and Davidson Academy, and Murfreesboro Central at Decatur County Riverside.
Softball schedule, games being played today, doubleheader between Clarksville Christian and Riverside Christian. Again, 3 and 5 o'clock will be your first pitches there as tournament games again, I'm assuming.
That I'm not sure.
TBD, but we do have games again listed at 3 and 5 today, so make sure you check that out. Gordonsville is at Watertown at 4 o'clock, 4:30 tonight. It'll be Overton at Franklin Road Academy. Middle Tennessee Christian will travel to Grace Christian Franklin. Good Pasture visiting Greenbrier tonight. Pope John Paul II is at MLK. Nolansville will be at Brentwood. Games now at 5 o'clock. Also at 5, Zion Christian is at Christian Community. Lawson traveling to Harpeth Hall. CPA is at Murfreesboro Central. Shelbyville will be at Spring Hill. 5:30 showdowns tonight as Springfield travels to Clarksville Northeast. Logan County, Kentucky visiting Joe Burns. Rossview will play host to Kirkwood tonight. 6 o'clock games. Mount Juliet will be at Beach. Hendersonville is at Centennial tonight. Culleoka will visit East Hickman. Page is welcoming Columbia Academy to Rudderville tonight at 6 p.m. Oakland will be at Rockvale this evening as well, and start times not listed for Friday games. Hickman County at Cheatham County, Creekwood at Liberty Creek. A couple of loose games over the weekend in softball action. Saturday games we have listed, a doubleheader as it were, or as scheduled at least, 5 and 7 p.m. Zion Christian scheduled to visit Clarksville Christian, and start time unknown between Greenbrier, who is at Coffee County. Sunday showdowns, 3 and 4 o'clock respectively. Oakland at Blackman and Franklin County at Lawrence County.
Boys soccer today at 5 o'clock. Beach goes to Gallatin. Also at 5, Columbia Academy is at Lawrence County. Franklin Road Academy travels to Middle Tennessee Christian. Spring Hill hosts Hickman County. At 6, Jackson County is at Westmoreland. Also, Loretto's at Culleoka. Father Ryan travels to Montgomery Bell Academy. Pope Prep hosts Brentwood Academy at 6:30. Clarksville Northeast is at Portland. Rockvale goes to Stewart's Creek. Station Camp hosts Hendersonville. Sorry, that's a 7 o'clock game. Hendersonville at Station Camp. Also at 7 o'clock, White House is at West Creek. Wilson Central hosts Laverne. Cane Ridge will also be in Rudderville today for a 7 o'clock first touch against the Patriots of Page. At 7:30, Mount Juliet Christian goes to Watertown, and time unlisted, Nolansville at Oakland. Saturday, Summit plays Columbia Central at 9 a.m. Also, Hume Fogg plays at Giles County at 9 a.m. At 12 noon, Hume Fogg plays Columbia Central, and Summit plays at Giles County at 12 noon. Wade, can you shed any light on what's going on there?
Southern Tennessee Soccer Showcase. Giles County will play host to all those games down at Rotary Soccer Park. Admission will be $7 to get in. I'm pulling up the schedule here. Yeah, Giles County, they played Rockvale in the first game, as it were, last night. And the way I understand it, they're going to play Hume Fogg and Summit on one part of the pitch, and I believe those other two games of those similar opponents will be played on the second pitch.
So they've got multiple fields down there at the complex. So go check that out. 5 o'clock tomorrow, Siegel is at Franklin. Major League Baseball, 6:20 tonight. Cleveland is at Atlanta. At 5:05 tomorrow, the Astros play the Rockies in Mexico City. Also, Cleveland continues its series at Atlanta at 6:20. Um, those Braves games can be seen on Valley Sports South. Astros Rockies will be on Major League Baseball Network, the MLB Network. Sunday, 12:35. Cleveland and Atlanta finish up that series. Again, it's on Valley Sports South. Astros Rockies in Mexico City, 3:05 start. That can be seen on ESPN. The Sounds continue their series at Louisville, 6:15 tonight and tomorrow night, 12:05 on Sunday, getaway day. Again, we'll be talking to Jeff Hem in the next segment about the Sounds. Stanley Cup playoff action tonight, 6:30. Vancouver comes to Bridgestone for game 3. That series is tied at 1 game apiece. Game can be seen on TBS and is that HBO Max? Is that what that is? Okay. Sunday's game 4 o'clock puck drop. Again, HBO Max and TBS will be where you can view that. And on Saturday at 7:30 on Apple TV at Geodis Park, it is the Nashville Soccer Club hosting the San Jose Earthquakes. And that, mercifully, is your rundown. Your top story, as always, brought to you by Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and check them out for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And as we mentioned, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs opening round matchup between the host Nashville Predators and the Vancouver Canucks is tonight. 6:30 start at Bridgestone. And if you are a Predators fan, you probably know this, but there's a little bit more to be comfortable with tonight's game from the standpoint that the Preds have played 14 game threes at Bridgestone. They are 11-3 in those game threes. So they feel pretty good once they get on home ice in postseason play, and hopefully that will continue to be the case tonight as Vancouver continues to be without their frontline starter between the pipes.
Yeah, Demko is going to be out, and again, we've talked about it all this week. That injury, injuries happen, and you can only show up and play who you got to face off against every night, and it's part of the game. And so Nashville, someone's got to win this series, and it might as well be the Preds, injury or not, because that is kind of your big storyline. And Nashville kind of just gritted and grinded their way on Tuesday night, Mo, to a victory. And we talked with Ann Kimball from Penalty Box Radio earlier this week. It felt like game 1, Nashville outplayed Vancouver and lost. And then in some ways in game 2, it felt like they got outplayed and they won by 3 goals. So such is sports, and such is hockey, especially, it seems like. So tonight is going to be a epic night. Teresa told us earlier this week, the catfish will be flying. The car's already out in front of Nissan ready to be smashed open. So it will be a fun night. And Vegas, and I'm not talking about the Golden Knights, folks, the people that build the skyscrapers and casinos out there, they basically have this series as a dead heat right now. Depending on which book you look at, Nashville is either but one is favored by just a slightly smaller than the other. Neither team is listed as an underdog. So really, to me, Mo, it seems like coming into tonight's game, you can't obviously clinch the series tonight, but it feels like whoever wins this game tonight has really kind of reestablished themselves with a lot of momentum.
Well, and you'd like to think that momentum would lay with the home team. And as you said, the fish are likely to be flying. I have seen at least one friend on Facebook looking for a catfish. So, and Teresa set the over under at 3, I think, when we had her on Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
What I can tell you is Mo, as much as I'll be there tonight and as much as I'd like to toss one, I don't think my arm is strong enough from where I'm going to be sitting. So I won't be. I would love to bump Teresa's numbers up and, really make a profit out of her. But it's going to have to be somebody else's bidding, because we're kind of up in the the nosebleeds tonight. So
You could pass it down, you know.
I suppose you could.
Fish surfing.
You know, I'll be curious to see if I when I'm walking in the concourse tonight, I'm curious to see if I look at somebody and I'm gonna say that looks like a potential catfish tosser. I don't know if there's like a type. I think what Teresa told us, right, is it kind of is based more on the attire that the person is wearing, because you kind of want those cowboy boots and you want jeans that you can kind of tuck it in there. I love how she eloquently kind of described the whole process in depth.
You know, if I didn't know any better, I would think that Teresa Walker had thrown a fish at some point in time. But yeah, I am. They lost me at the loose fitting jeans. Let me just put it that way. But anyway, hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports today to the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, we will be joined by Nashville Sounds play-by-play announcer Jeff Hem. Gonna talk a little bit about this 0-3 start to the series up in Louisville and how the Sounds can get right here for the weekend. So come back here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia after this break.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOAF Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And we are now joined from from Louisville, for sure. I'm not sure if he's at the stadium or not. And the name of the Louisville Slugger Field. Is that where you are, Jeff?
That is where I am. What's going on, guys?
The name of the facility escaped me there for a second, but Jeff Ham joining us now, as he does on Road Fridays with the Sounds. And man, the news hasn't been good this week. What's up?
It's been a tough series so far. Breaking news: it's tough to win ball games when your starting pitching doesn't come through. It's earth-shattering. I know it's never happened before in baseball until this week.
Pretty revelatory right there.
I know. I really try to, really give you guys inside analysis when I join you. This is stuff
and we appreciate it.
Yeah, you can't just get these things anywhere. But no, that's really what stands out to me in these three games. The Sounds lost 14-9 in a wind howling out wild game on Tuesday, where neither team got great starting pitching because pitching in general was tough that night. And they got outslugged. A couple of big innings for Louisville in that one. Wednesday, a day game, much calmer conditions. Robert Gasser returned, the reigning International League Pitcher of the Year, co-Brewers Minor League Pitcher of the Year, a guy we talked a lot about over the course of last season because he was just so dominant in a full season with the Sounds. He made his season debut on Wednesday. He dealt at the end of spring training with a bone spur in his left elbow that slowed the start of his season. So he came back and looked like mid-season Robert Gasser on Wednesday, and the Sounds lost a 2-1 ball game. And then last night, the final ended up 9-5, and Aaron Ashby, who's still working through missing all of last year, just does not have his normal command yet. And so some free bases were given out, and this Louisville team is pretty average in a lot of categories, but you give any professional hitters enough free bases, they connect once or twice on a base hit, and you're down a few runs, and that's what happened. I know it's been frustrating for Aaron. He's got all the talent in the world. He was a really important pitcher for the Brewers 2 years ago, and will be again sometime. But right now, he's still trying to get back to the form that he's used to. So 3 games in the series, one really good start, lost a 1-run ball game. The other 2 were not as good from the starting pitching. And when you get that way early, you're playing catch up the rest of the game. And the Sounds offense is also just not a powerful offense. It's a pesky offense. It's got some speed, but it's not built on bashing a ton of home runs, at least the way it's currently constructed. And so it makes, getting back into a ball game even more difficult, because even last night, there was a moment where the Sounds in the middle innings were only down by 2. They had second and third, nobody out, and did not get a run in. And those just magnify themselves so much more when you do get those chances. And you're not a team that can just readily pop a couple of 2-run homers on a given night.
Jeff, can you also, a similar vein, even at the professional level, what does it do to the hitters in the lineup when they see the starting pitching kind of struggling? Do you sense that these guys put a little extra pressure on themselves to try and go out and make some plays, knowing that you're already at a disadvantage like that? Does their psyche change in your mind at all?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I'm inclined to say not really, but I don't know how it couldn't at least affect you a little bit, especially if internally your offense is not at that moment or in a stretch where they're scoring a ton of runs. It's such an ebb and flow with baseball. You get a team that is scoring a lot in a given stretch, even if by the end of the season they weren't an amazing offense. There are stretches when you play 150 games, you're going to have a few games where a 5-0 deficit feels like you're down 20 runs, and you could be down 8-1 in the second inning and feel like this is no big deal. Like we know we're going to score. And I feel like there have been moments this year where the offense has felt that way. We've seen some games where There was a game, was that the St. Paul series, I think, or no, it was the Omaha series on the last homestand. Sounds were down, I think it was 7-0 by the end of the first 2 innings. And by the end of the 4th inning, it was 7-7. They had gotten back into the game. So it's a good question. It's impossible to fully answer. I would think the mentality wavers depending on how things are going, and not every 5-run deficit is created equal. Right now, I think the offense is in a stretch where it's well aware that they're getting a lot of chances and not cashing in. And so if you do get down a few runs, it's natural to think that there could be some sort of a here we go again feeling until you get that one game or that one inning that rights the ship, and all of a sudden your offense, you feel like world beaters and you're never going to lose again. It's just how the game works mentally, I think.
And Jeff, when you describe the Sounds offense as pesky rather than powerful, that makes it a little tougher, I would think, just because you got to string something together. You can't rely on the 3-run home run. You got to have like 3, 4, 5 hits to get 3 runs. And, those aren't as easy. One mistake by the opposing pitcher doesn't get you back in a ball game when you're playing that type of offense. So that kind of makes the sledding uphill a little tougher, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it's also easy when you're talking about one part of the game to forget that there's an opponent there in some ways. And I will say Louisville has gotten 2 pretty good starting pitching performances from some Reds prospects the last couple games. And that hasn't helped. And there have been stretches this year where the Sounds have feasted on a pitcher who was struggling. There wasn't much given the last couple days from Louisville pitchers, and that has not helped matters. By the same way I was mentioning, the Sound starters had a couple rough games in the series to give some chances to a Louisville offense that is not a world beater. The Sounds have not had as much of that, and so then you get kind of a when it rains it pours feeling too when you're trying to get the offense going a little bit.
Jeff Ham, play-by-play announcer for the Nashville Sounds, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And Jeff, again, ball games tonight, 6:15 tomorrow. Finish up with a day game on Sunday. In light of those starting pitching situations, what are your expectations as you go forward into the second half of this series?
Well, I do still like this lineup. I think you don't have – yes, we all love home runs. It'd be great to have a team that leads the league in homers. That doesn't mean that if you don't have that, you've got no chance. And there's one bat that is back in the lineup tonight, and cleanup hitter Brewer Hicklin, that has really been off to a great start. And it has been one of, if not the most consistent offensive performers. He got hit on the left knee on Tuesday night, got him right on the nerve, and he was down, had to be helped off the field by both athletic trainers, just could not put any weight on the left leg. And you're thinking, oh no, this can't be a quick return to the field. Well, fortunately, it is in this case. He's back in the lineup tonight after missing the last 2 games. That will certainly help. It's also just a stretch where, yes, the roster ebbs and flows all the time at AAA. There are busier stretches than others, and the Brewers are without 3 starting pitchers right now, and yet they're still atop the National League Central. They don't have Christian Yelich right now, which led to a move that can happen, and that is part of AAA, but it's sort of also about who and when do those things happen. And there are a couple of bats and arms that are not on the Sounds that you would think probably would be, if not for those circumstances. Now that's just part of AAA. No one in Milwaukee is feeling sorry for the Sounds. They need what they need when they need it, and rightfully so. But if you're asking, can the Sounds start to win more games? That's a factor. So hopefully the Brewers can get a little healthier over the next 2-3 weeks. The Sounds are also missing outfielder Chris Roller. He's on the injured list. There were some injuries the first weekend of the season that have had a trickle-down effect because when something happens at the big league level, the first thing they do is take who they need from AAA. When something happens at the AAA level, it's not automatic that you just add a couple of guys from AA. because their roster is a puzzle that has to fit a certain way too. So things get thin in stretches. That is part of why right now the Sounds are a couple of games under 500, but they still have a lot of talent. You get Brewer Hicklin back in there tonight. It was great to see Gasser pitch the way he did on Wednesday, because he is definitely a guy the Brewers could call on at some point, even potentially very soon with where their rotation is. Tyler Black is doing great, top 50 prospect in the game. So there's still a lot of talent on this roster. And, I'm confident they can finish the series strong and then come home. And it's odd to see the Norfolk Tides, AAA for Baltimore. Their record is 9-15 going into today, although they're going to re-add Jackson Holiday. So the top prospect in the game is actually going to be at First Horizon Park next week, unless something changes in the meantime, because the Tides are coming in on Tuesday. So maybe a stretch of the schedule where the Sounds can get things back in the right direction.
Thanks for scooping us on the Holiday thing there, Jeff. But before we get into Norfolk, I just want to mention, you mentioned Brewer Hicklin being down for the last few days. Here's what you lose when you lose Brewer Hicklin. Leads the team in average, on base plus slugging, home runs, total bases, and stolen bases.
He's tied for the league lead in steals with 12. He makes a lot of things happen, so it's good to get him back. He's one of the veterans on the team, even though he's not been in Pro Bowl all that long, but he's got a little big league time in his background and just makes a lot of things happen. And when you've got an anchor like that in the middle of the lineup, for the guys in front of him and right behind him, that affects more than just him. So it's good to see him back in there.
Chad Patrick going to the bump for the Sounds tonight. Does not have a decision yet with a 3.46 ERA. Tomorrow it's Jansen Junk, 1-2 with a 4.70. And on Sunday, Carlos Rodriguez, 0-4 with an 8.34, but way better than those numbers, clearly. So hopefully the Sounds can break through and get a couple here before they head back to the house.
Yeah, we sort of alluded to Holiday coming down from the Orioles. There have been very, very few players in Major League Baseball over the years who got called up and never went back to the minor leagues. It happens to almost every single player because it is a really tough game to play, and the major leaguers are really good. Well, AAA guys are really good too. And that popped into my head when you mentioned Carlos Rodriguez. He's only 22 years old. He's essentially at AAA for the first time. There's a reason he, along with Gasser, were co-Brewers minor league pitchers of the year last season. And in fact, Rodriguez was the award winner of that the year before too. So he's won it the last 2 years. He's got the ingredients, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. You're facing a lot of guys at AAA who've been to the major leagues and know what pitchers are trying to do to them. So it can be an unforgiving game at times. And I think over time, we're going to see Carlos Rodriguez figure some things out because he's got the ingredients. And as pitching coach Jeremy Accardo told me yesterday in the pregame show interview that we taped, guys are at AAA for a reason. They're good enough to be here. And sometimes there's some growing pain there, just like there is at the big league level. And when guys are at the big league level, there's a reason they're there, even if their performance right away does not take off. It's not always a linear path in this wild game of ours.
You took the words right out of my mouth, and you said them better than I could. It's not a linear path. Jackson Holiday learned that. Got called up 16 days ago, went 2 for 34 in 10 games. That's no matter how good a prospect you are, that's not what they're looking for when they bring you up. And so he's coming back down, and in all likelihood will be in the lineup when the Tides get here. So if you like to see prospects, Norfolk is the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. You can look in the standings and see what they're doing. They got a lot of talent down here, and they are probably expected to be better than 9-15 at this point.
Yeah.
So
they've got like the number one farm system in baseball the last few years. And Gunnar Henderson came through with Norfolk. Heston Kjerstad just made his major league debut the other day We've seen plenty of him with Norfolk. It's funny. Durham is 9-15 too. You're telling me AAA for the Rays and AAA for the Orioles are 9-15. It's almost like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it because I've seen enough of the 15-9. I don't need to believe the 9-15.
No doubt. Jeff, what else is what else does next week's series against Norfolk bode?
It's some of the homestand staples will be in play. The Tito's Tail Wagon Tuesday, the Throwback Thursday, fireworks on a Friday. There's another night where the Sounds will play as the Nashville Brewskis. So we'll get the powder blue jerseys out. There are a couple of giveaways too, and I've got the homestand highlights right here to shout out the giveaways. There's a 40-ounce tumbler giveaway on Wednesday that is Sounds branded. That'll be a halfway to Halloween night. There's also a giveaway. By the way, Tuesday is our annual peanut-free night. So anybody out there who is or knows someone who deals with severe nut allergies, we do this every year. It's a great night. The idea that anybody could be in the ballpark that night who normally feels like they just can't go to a ball game because of what a ballpark staple peanuts normally are. Tuesday is your night. The ballpark gets scrubbed and cleaned. We do it on the opener of the homestand so the park is as clean as possible. So anybody who does deal with nut allergies, Tuesday is our annual peanut-free night, and we thank our friends at the Allergy Asthma Sinus Center for sponsoring that. There's a Johnny and George t-shirt giveaway for you, Mo, next Saturday for the first 1,000 fans. There'll be a Dolly and Reba one later. Johnny and George are coming up on Saturday, so that one will be fun. And then next Sunday on an early Mother's Day celebration, we will also have Booster's birthday being celebrated next Sunday. So always good stuff on the promotional calendar.
Sounds like a lot of fun, especially that Johnny and George t-shirt giveaway. Hang on to one of those for me just in case I don't get out there. But
I will do that. I know a guy.
That's good. It's good to know people, and it's better to know people that know people. That's kind of where I fall. But
That's right.
Jeff Hamm of the Nashville Sounds joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Jeff, we appreciate it. We'll let you get ready for your game. 6:15 first pitch. You can hear it on where?
Tonight we are on 93.3 Classic Hits. A lot going on, as you guys, I'm sure, have already covered today. There's a lot in the Nashville sports world going on this Friday. So we'll be down the dial a hair on 93.3 tonight.
Sounds good. We appreciate it, man. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. That gets us through two segments here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company Studios, we might be three, maybe. We'll see when we come back. Stay with us after this break.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
August 26, 2013, Anibal Sanchez set a Detroit franchise record with 17 strikeouts in 8 innings as the Tigers thrashed visiting Atlanta 10-0. Sanchez struck out Juan Francisco Reed Johnson and Dan Uggla in the 8th to set the mark, but had thrown 121 pitches and did not go out for the 9th, falling 3 short of the major league record of 20 strikeouts in a contest. That was this day in Braves history. Those were not good days for the Braves, by the way. So these days are better. Ideally, we won't be setting any strikeout records this weekend against a really hot Cleveland team coming into Truist Park. The Guardians 18-7 after yesterday's win up at Fenway against the Red Sox. Two teams that are really on a roll coming together in this one. Looking forward to this series. We've been talking about it most of the week, and the Guardians again with a 6-4 victory yesterday. Jose Ramirez with a grand slam in that one. Pitching staff is going to be challenged in this one, and to discuss it in a little bit more detail, in addition to Wade Neely, we invite in the third member of the Three Amigos, Chris Yao, who was able to shed some of his other responsibilities to join us for the final portion of the final show of the week. Good afternoon. You're muted. You're still muted.
All right.
Maybe he's not joining us. What?
Had to wear the Braves gear to offset Let's Go Stros shirt by our friend Wade Neely.
Well, for all the good it did.
Yeah, and did not do. It's funny because right as he was showing that, I saw a notification come up: Cubs 3, Astros 1, and I was
yeah, I see what's going on with the tag team dress up day.
It was brutal. It was almost like it was planned by the Cubs to make you look like a fool, Wade.
Man, well, I don't need any help with that, and the fact that I still continue to even check the scores these days for Houston tells you all about my level of foolishness.
Well, and again, they were up 1-0 early, man. I had hope for you, but I can tell you, I don't know what Chris's motivation is. I'm just trying to send good vibes south for the
Yeah.
weekend because I think we need all the vibes we can get against this Cleveland team.
Cleveland fans think the same thing. A lot of folks on Twitter are saying, boy, I hope this isn't the reality check that a lot of folks are telling me it's going to be. And, the Braves are kind of the measuring stick right now for Major League Baseball teams. A series against the Braves kind of tells you where you stand. And so Cleveland fans are just as concerned as Braves fans. So, and when you get the two best teams in baseball in a weekend series, man, you can't beat that.
And as Wade said, or has said earlier in the week when we discussed this, Cleveland fans still have a little PTSD, as it were, regarding this franchise. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, this is the battle for Kenny Lofton and Otis Nixon this weekend. So let's see who comes out on top. You know what's going to happen, right? Is one team's going to win 2 out of 3, and we're not really going to have any real feel for what really is going to go off on the rest of the season. I feel like that's how this has to play out.
I will tell you this. If you could tell me right now that the Braves take 2 or 3, we don't even have to play.
I'll be happy. I'll concede to 1.
Yeah,
I hope that obviously you're hoping that the Sunday game, if it's not a sweep for the team you're cheering for, you obviously hope that it comes down from a neutral standpoint to kind of a winner take all on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
And the funny part though, Mo, is if we win the first 2, you and I will be getting greedy.
Oh yeah,
you always get greedy.
If we win the first 2, forget it.
Yeah,
we want them all.
Yeah, forget I ever said that. Yeah, but I mean, just being realistic about it. Again, Cleveland 18-7. That's regard. I don't know what their schedule looks like to this point, but 18.
Well, they're 6-1 against the A's.
Well, you say that.
And the A's are
go talk to the
9-10
Yankees
against everyone else.
Go
they
talk
played
to the
White
Yankees
Sox
about
a couple of times as well.
No, that's what I'm saying. So,
but they did lose 1 to the White Sox. I'm seeing here, so take that for what's
the
worth.
Braves lost 1 to the White Sox. So
this is the deciding.
Okay, so
the
wait
proverbial
a minute.
rock paper scissors in that battle. Then
so wait a minute, because I've got that on the run of show. But the White Sox have beaten Cleveland, and they've beaten Atlanta. And they've beaten one other team?
One other team one time.
One time in 25 games.
But they beat the 2 best teams in baseball. So
Good
hang the banner.
Lord, let's go ahead and touch on that now.
Guess who the other team was? Kansas City.
Wow. Wow. That's
how insane.
That's nuts. So the White Sox are 3-25 with wins over Cleveland, Atlanta, and Kansas City.
That is incredible.
Those are their 3 wins. Their other 22 games they have lost, making them just the 4th team to lose 22 or more games in their first 25. Last year, 2 years ago, Cincinnati started 3-22, finished 62-100. That was pre-LA De La Cruz, by the way. The 2003 Detroit Tigers started the year 3-22. They finished that year 43-119.
I was going to say 62-100 isn't bad for starting 3-22.
For starting 3-22, right? Yeah, it could be
That's
worse.
actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the 1988 Baltimore Orioles started 2-23, and some kind of way, again, like you say, Chris, finished 54-107. So
that's not terrible considering
all things considered, yeah. But so Chicago is really flirting with disaster here, big time. According to this article on CBS Sports, to avoid a 100-loss season, Chicago will need to go 60-77 in their final 137 games, which is a .437 winning percentage.
Looks like 40 in a hurry.
Yeah, looks like 40-120 may be closer than 62-100 for the White Sox.
The 2001 A's started 8-17 before they ended up finishing 102-60. I I don't think Chicago's in any real realm of entering that conversation.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But
And this is a team that was kind of in sell mode, I guess, over the offseason. They traded off Dylan Cease early in the year, and they're just bad.
Yeah.
But injuries haven't helped them either. So,
and our good friend Christopher Gabriel is just fighting back the urge to blow something up.
yeah, he's wanting to go scorched earth on everything right now. And with the White Sox management talking about moving, I'm sure White Sox fans are saying, please.
Yeah, put us out of our misery.
They're just 1 or 2 losses away from needing to re-sign Michael Jordan, just to get a little enthusiasm and try and, as a PR stunt, just get some people to the ballpark, because it is grim right now.
Funny story, because right before you said that, I decided to go up the Southern League standings, and folks, let me tell you, the Birmingham Barons are 13-5.
Are they still the White Sox AA?
They are.
Just call them up in mass.
Just put it, swap teams.
Just call them all up.
Just swap the whole thing. 8-2 in their last 10, and they've got plus 36 run differential on the year. Have the White Sox? They can hit the baseball. Just bring them up.
Bring them all up. Every one of them.
That's incredible.
Again, Wade, when you mentioned that the Astros,
12, by the way,
I'm sorry.
The M Braves are 6-12.
Well,
keep them down.
The lame duck M Braves, yeah,
yeah.
Houston and Colorado playing 2 games this weekend, Friday, Saturday in Mexico City. Ronel Blanco getting the start tonight for the Astros. 1.33 ERA. Austin Gomber. I'm sorry, that's Sundays. No. Wait, stop.
Blanco Saturday.
Blanco Saturday against Cal Quantrill for Colorado. Framber Valdez Sunday. Right?
Chance to get a little mojo going with Valdez on the mound there.
Yeah, Valdez and Austin Gomber for Colorado. So tried to reach out to Thomas Harding, who covers the Rockies for MLB.com. He's traveling, unfortunately, so weren't able to get him, but may be able to get a scouting report on baseball in Mexico City next week.
Okay, so Wade, when it rains, it pours, and typically that's a bad thing. So you have a 2-game series against the Rockies that are supposed to be Rockies home games. So instead of getting to go to Colorado and maybe get right, you got to go to Mexico City, and then you got to come home for the Guardians after they're going to be ticked off from losing 3 to the Braves.
Yep, it won't be. Hopefully, you just beat them down and kind of break their spirit a little bit.
Maybe
it's kind of what
spirits.
Houston fans are thinking. Interesting point though, and I'm I'm immediately going to. There's nothing out yet. I'm immediately going to the book there and seeing what the totals are going to be in this game, because at 7,349 feet above sea level, which is more than 2,000 higher than Coors Field. Figure there's probably going to be some long balls, which is nice. Obviously, the Valdez is going, but even he, I think, will be in danger of letting a few get out of the yard there in the thin air of Mexico City.
It's kind of ironic that they send Colorado there.
Yeah.
Since they're kind of used to that, I guess, maybe. Rounding out our Braves /MLB segment.
Hey, speaking of, just real quick, final note on that while I've got it pulled up. Last year, the Padres and Giants, they had the 2-game series down there, which is an extension, of the international series that we even saw at the start of this year. Right. 37 runs and 14 dingers in the 2 games last year. So
how many runs?
37 runs total in the 2-game series and 14 homers.
14 homers in 2 games.
Yep.
Jeez.
So.
All righty then.
Not a good weekend to be a pitcher.
Home run derby. Ryan Weathers hopes to have no part of that when he starts Sunday against Washington. The former Loretto standout is 2-2 with a 3.16 ERA when he goes to the bump in the third game of Miami's 4-game series at DC. So
yeah,
3-1-6.
3-1-6. I love that, man. If you'd have told me that he was going to come back this year and be able to get right, I would have obviously been optimistic, but it would have been cautiously. And so to see the 3-1-6, and he's, and that includes a start against these Braves where he was pretty darn good against one, the best lineup in baseball. So
gave up 3 runs in 5 2/3. So yeah, and I misspoke. That game is at Miami. That series is at Miami this weekend, not in Washington. So, hoping to see some good things out of the former Loretto standout on Sunday. And, the enemy of our enemy is our friend. So it's always good to see somebody beat the Nats. So
always.
We'll see how that goes. Hey, when we come back for the second hour of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, going to talk a little draft. There was some interesting stuff that went on in the first round last night. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
The weekend update continues here on Main Street Sports Today. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios. Wade and I of our respective abodes. Chris from my seat in the West 7th studio in Columbia. So we're not scattered along the I-65 corridor because Wade is actually in Nashville. So we don't have
Well, I guess he
Columbia.
could be close to 65.
Well, I don't think he is
Close enough. Not we're not in golf ball or catfish territory though. So
I was gonna say he's probably as close as we are as far as
he's as
driving.
close as you are. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. NFL draft round 1. What stood out to y'all, non-Titans related?
well, I'll give everybody one guess. Nobody's going to go for the obvious. I'm not exactly sure, and I've told a few friends this. I am the proverbial I'm always glass half full, and I feel like I'm a pretty good find people in a place of reason type guy. I don't know what in the hell the Atlanta Falcons are doing. And I'm kind of an against the grain guy, but in this case, everybody that was on social media saying the same thing that I was thinking last night, I just had to roll with it because taking Penix at the number 8 selection kind of just makes me scratch. I mean, it really makes me do more than scratch my head, but that was to me the biggest head scratcher by far of last night.
I'll tell you, Al Davis thought it was a great pick.
That and Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs, Al Davis was a huge fan of.
Now that is the one, even more so than Penix, because I mean, when you listen to what the Falcons are saying, they just didn't feel like they were going to be in position to take a quarterback as good as Penix next year.
Okay, that's fine, but you took the second oldest guy in the draft. Like, take the young guy. Take a guy who can sit. It didn't make sense at 8.
I mean, it's the Falcons, but they're to me, their explanation, it doesn't necessarily explain it, but I mean, the thought process isn't completely crazy. I don't know.
The weirdest thing to me is Cousins signing that 4-year deal, but obviously there's back end stuff where they can really finagle in years 3 and 4. But if he continues to produce at a high level, what's your plan? And
then you've got a 27-year-old quarterback in the 4th year of his rookie deal that you've basically wasted money on. Now, that being said, he's better than Desmond Ridder. And if anything happens,
both of those guys are better than Ridder for sure.
Well, I'm saying if anything happens, though, if Cousins, he's coming off an Achilles injury, if something happens to Cousins and he can't go, you're in a much better position with Michael Penix than you are with Desmond Ridder.
And maybe that's part of the thought process. I don't know that they necessarily spoke to that or would speak to that, but if you have to have a number 2, a rookie Michael Penix might be better than a lot of other options.
Yeah, I just don't know that 8's where I'm getting him. I mean, that's the thing is it just seems like a weird selection when you just paid $48 million to a quarterback and you have no defense to speak of. I mean, they're awful. And Cousins has got a couple guys, but nothing that just blows you away when you could have got a Dunze or some other guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of a hit. I mean, my biggest thing is Penix probably would have still been there, and obviously everybody thinks they know what other teams are going to do, and somebody could have traded up and got him maybe rather than when you're thinking. But a lot of folks weren't expecting Penix to go that high. So if you're Atlanta, maybe why not trade back? And obviously, if you don't get the calls from the other teams that are willing to trade, obviously your hands are kind of tied. But
right.
And that's kind of the vibe that I heard from last night was Atlanta basically chalked it up to, well, we had the 8th pick and he was going to get picked by the time we got to pick again. So we just went ahead and picked him. And it just seemed like they kind of mismanaged. I get the goal potentially. And obviously somehow, some way, this may magically work out. And Penix, who is obviously a phenomenal quarterback, but just the way the contract and the signing and the position which he was selected, everything about it was just odd.
Well, again, it's the Falcons, but I mean, certainly your point is made. Penix was one of 5 quarterbacks to go in the top 10, 6 in the top 12. 14 straight offensive picks to open the draft. It's never been
Including Bo
seen
Nix.
before, including Bo Nix at 12. And I think of those first 12 picks, 9 of them were either quarterbacks or offensive tackles. So the quarterback and protecting the quarterback, again, it's as we've said numerous times on this show, it's quarterback-driven sports, quarterback-driven league, and I think those first 12 picks, 9 of which being either quarterbacks or protectors thereof, kind of was Exhibit A to that point.
And similar to Penix, to a lesser degree, though, is the Raiders selecting Bowers after they had just gone out and acquired a tight end the previous year. So there were some head-scratching moves last night, and amidst all that, and I know we'll talk Titans a little bit later, there was not as much wheeling and dealing as we were kind of led to believe, right? You know, we've talked all week, Mo, with our various guests that nobody really knows what's going to happen, but all the chatter was that there'd be trades in positions 2 through 7, and I don't think we got our first trade until the 10 and 11 realm when the Jets swapped with Denver, who I believe ends up obviously.
And that was the Jets swapped with the Vikings,
Minnesota.
and that's a
That's
weird
right, the
one
Vikings,
too,
right?
right?
McCarthy. You're right.
Like, did they think that the Jets were going to draft JJ McCarthy? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
But do you really know what the Jets are going to do?
God, no.
So, I mean, they could have sat there saying, the Jets aren't going to take JJ McCarthy until they do.
Well,
if JJ McCarthy is your guy, which I'm not sure I understand that either, but who am I and what do I know?
Well, I mean,
the other crazy takeaway for me, and this is going to sound simple, but how about the Bears last night? Granted, they ain't going to be doing a lot of picking the next couple of days, but they absolutely got 2 phenomenal pieces perfectly dovetailing with the new stadium news. I mean, that franchise, if things pan out with those 2 guys, they could be rolling right into that new stadium in the prime of those guys' careers. And the Bears, obviously, with 2 top 10 picks, you hope you get them both right.
Right.
But it certainly seemed on draft night like they'd knock those out of the park.
And that bears pointing out, no pun intended. But I mean, when you got the number 1 and the number 9, to come away with that type talent shouldn't be as shocking as it is to us.
No, I think the only real shock was that Odunze was still there. And, the chatter with the Jets is that we're looking at a guy like Bowers. They were looking at Odunze, and there was a rumor they would have, quote, taken him in a heartbeat if the Bears, for some reason, passed him. But I only have a few Bears fans in my life, and they were just obviously elated before the draft began. And then after the midway point of the first round, they were super elated. So I'm not used to seeing this Bears optimism. And so I'm not really sure how to deal with these fans in my life. But
it won't last. It won't last.
Yeah, inevitably it will not. So bless them, as they like to say. So
yeah, like the fans and the fans in the outfield seats in Major League, they'll blow it in the 9th. I mean,
and then at the back end of the draft, I left Nissan pretty late last night, and I got home just in time to see, hey, what do you know? A team with a otherworldly quarterback, a team with a Hall of Fame coach, a team that's won 1 million Super Bowls, it seems like, in the last 5 years. Oh, yeah, they just go out and get maybe potentially one of the most explosive wide receivers that could come out of this draft.
Fastest guy in this draft class.
Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs is just unreal. I mean, they got like Tyreek 2.0 essentially in some regards.
Exactly. And here's my question. If you are the Buffalo Bills, how do you feel? when you just gave them the bullet that they're going to shoot you in the head with next January, February?
That's like not a trade in the division, obviously. It's certainly obviously in the same conference, but yeah, that's the one team when you see the trade come up, you're like, oh no, hang on, we're trading with the Chiefs. And the Bills fans have the PTSD. They're sitting there. The Chiefs could have picked anybody last night, and Bills fans are already envisioning that guy going into the Hall of Fame. That's how triggered they are from, and that's how many memories are haunting in their brain from the Chiefs over the years.
I mean, obviously they didn't know what they were going to do with the pick. But if you are the Buffalo Bills, why do you answer the phone when Kansas City calls?
Yeah, just block that number, man.
We're not trading with you. We're trying to beat you. We're not trying to help you get better. What? How does that even work? I would love to know the anatomy of that transaction. I mean, there needs to be a draft day movie made about that trade. Did Kansas City call? Did Buffalo call? How did the conversation come about? But it's a speed game, and the more speed you have on the field, the harder it is for defenses to take away different elements of the game, GM Brent Veach said in this ESPN article. Anytime you can add speed and add a guy with that type of versatility, I think you're going to be interested. Well, yeah. I mean, like you said, it just feels like they went out and replaced Tyreek Hill.
So it's what it feels like to me. And speaking of the AFC West, we talked about Bo Nix. I like the experience and I like the guttiness of Bo Nix, but does that not seem a little potentially kind of like the Falcons, a little desperate almost that we got out of the Broncos last night?
I think the Broncos are desperate.
So my PR brain, my old Martin Methodist PR brain went right to work because you guys might have saw the tweet. Just mysteriously, right when there might be some uproar about that pick, Adam Schefter putting out a little potential smokescreen last night, telling us a nice heartwarming tale about how Sean Payton, how he wanted to draft Patrick Mahomes at number 11 in 2017, but right before the Chiefs traded up, with the Bills and got that pick. So two things of that story. Yeah, I totally missed that part last night. Unbelievable that those two teams trade yet again in the draft. But Schefter kind of ran a little bit of a smokescreen for Sean Payton. It's like, hey, we know everybody may not be thrilled with your pick of Bo Nix, but we're going to put out this little story about how you almost had Patrick Mahomes before he was kind of snatched out of your hands back in 2017.
Right.
So here's the real question. Is there enough hair gel in Denver to go around with Bo and Zach?
Not a shot.
And Sean Payton for that matter.
It's a thriving hairstylist market right now.
Go ahead and buy stock in hair gel. Plenty of it to go around in Denver here soon.
Yeah, I got another question regarding Zach Wilson in Denver that I'm not going to ask in this forum, but I will ask later. Anyway, we have our next guest in the green room, so let's go ahead and go to a break here from the Lee Company Studios. When we come back to Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by Titan insider Terry McCormick. Going to talk a little J.C. Latham and whether he was a reach. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
And update continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Mo, Wade, Chris, coming to you from various Lee Company studios across Middle Tennessee today as we wrap up the week. And we're joined now by Titan insider Terry McCormick. Talk a little bit about the Tennessee Titans number 7 pick in last night's first round and what's coming next. So, Terry, thanks for joining us, man. Looks like you're at the facility.
I am. I'm over here in the Dr. Doom room. I'm named after Robert Brazil with his framed jersey up behind me. So that's always a nice backdrop.
I like that. Absolutely. I wasn't able to watch the draft, but I was trying to keep up with it from a high school baseball game that I was covering. And it just felt so Tennessee Titans that the two names that have been most closely associated with their number 7 pick, Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, they're picking 7, Alt goes 5, Neighbors goes 6. I mean, that just felt so Tennessee Titan-ish.
Yeah, it did seem like that was the scenario that most people probably feared that would happen or could happen, and it certainly became a reality when the Chargers decided to go with Joe Alt at number 5. On the plus side of things, I'm told that they had J.C. Latham rated pretty much even with Alt, that he was pretty much a guy that, they felt like is a high-end prospect with a lot of potential, a guy who is a mountain of a man at 6'6" and 342 pounds, I think.
And he's lost down to that, right?
I think so. So yeah, he is, and I was told that the original plan for the Crimson Tide last year was that he was going to shift from right tackle to left tackle, which he played in high school. But then when they signed the number 1 left tackle prospect in the country, they decided just to go ahead and put the freshman at left tackle and solve the problem, for the next 3-4 years, whatever it may be, and leave J.C. Latham.
See how that worked out for him, which I guess he's back now, but.
Oh, is that Proctor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
Anyway,
that's a whole other
yeah.
story.
Yeah, that is a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Yeah, for sure. But well, that's interesting because I was not aware of that. But Terry, it felt like I hadn't seen J.C. Latham. Now, I was not scouring every mock draft known to man because I don't do that. But in post draft research that I did, I didn't see him showing up in anybody's top 10.
No, most people had him going somewhere, around, most of the so-called experts, the
Right.
cottage industry that has become mock drafts and things like that. Most people had him going somewhere between like 11 and 15, somewhere in that neighborhood. The thing of it with me is, they drafted him. They've said they're going to play him at left tackle. But with the Titans, and going back to what you said about, the scenario as we started here, it always feels like it's never cut and dried with the Titans. Never cut and dried. I don't know why that is. It's like when they drafted Peter Skoronski last year, people thought, oh, he'll play left tackle. No, he's playing left guard. It's
please keep that conversation to a minimum because let's not get Yao going.
But to Rand Carthen's credit last year and Mike Vrabel, they said on draft night that he was going to be a guard.
Yeah, and they stuck with that. And
so
then,
at least,
for better or for worse.
Yes, and the quarterback situation, it's like, okay, they feel good about Will Levis, but obviously got to see a little bit more before they can anoint him as the franchise quarterback. And now at the left tackle position, you think you have a solution here with J.C. Latham. You hope you have a solution once he works with Bill Callahan, and Bill Callahan is confident that he can make that slide from right to left. But you really don't know until you get out there. There's not a cut and dried solution like there would have been had they had the opportunity to draft Joe Alt. So, with that gone by the boards, I think they, stayed true to their board and, filled what, they felt like was their biggest need here at number 7. And I think they feel like that Latham is an elite type of prospect, but it's going to take a little bit of work before they're ready just to plug and play him on the left side after he hadn't been there in 4 years.
Terry, the one question that I would have, and I don't know that we're ever going to have an answer to it. Would the Titans have preferred to have traded back in light of the fact that, again, J.C. Latham wasn't necessarily viewed as a top 10 pick?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever know the truthful answer. He was Rand Carthon was asked about it last night, and he said that they fielded some phone calls at number 7, but said they felt like they wanted to stay true to their board. So maybe teams had Latham rated higher than, the mock draft experts. That wouldn't be the first time.
That never happens, right?
Wouldn't be the first time. But with that said, I don't know that anyone outside the Falcons war room knew that they were going to take a quarterback right behind the Titans there at number 8 when they chose Mike Penix. So had the Titans known that, they probably could have at least slipped back to number 9 or 10 and still had a shot at Latham and picked up an extra draft pick out of it.
Well, they weren't going to get 10 because that's where the Jets were, and the Jets took a tackle. And so that's why you if you were going to trade back, you couldn't have gone any farther back then, unless the Jets just loved Fashanu. I think Latham was probably higher on the board than Fashanu was for everybody, but I don't know. But that's the risk you take. So
no, you're right. I think that with that situation, I think Latham probably was higher rated than Fashanu, despite what people were saying, in the early process of the draft. I think the only advantage Fashanu had was he does have left tackle experience from Penn State, where Latham does not. But when you look at plug and play readiness and upside potential, I think that's where Latham won out.
Terry, as we were watching it last night, and we'll see if producer Mark can produce the clip by the time we get done with you here. But I thought it was awful. Well, I have one word in my head that I can't say, but let's just say it was very confident of J.C. Latham, knowing that Roger Goodell just had back surgery to pick him up in the big old bear hug. I mean, that takes a lot of gumption, right, to pull off that move on draft night, does it not?
It does. It does. I think, that's one of those that's kind of interesting there. I mean, it certainly opened some eyes, shall we say.
Maybe somebody paid him to do that.
Yeah, the commission just had a free chiropractic visit right there, it looked like last night.
The entirety of the Patriots fan base.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe Tom Brady slipped him a couple of Benjamins.
I did not see that, but that's hilarious. Yeah. Popped his back. Terry McCormick, Titans Insider, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Yeah.
Let's roll this bear hug footage.
Have we got it?
In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select J.C. Latham.
Could you see it?
No, I did not.
I don't know that we got to see it. We
I
may just have to share that, but it was.
Yeah,
he's tiptoeing the line, he's tiptoeing the line of being in danger.
Yeah, I'm having some connectivity issues, I'm afraid.
Goodell will probably tell the league officials to monitor his holding very carefully.
Absolutely.
Terry, what are you expecting today? Rounds 2 and 3 starting at 6 o'clock, and obviously the Titans will only be involved unless they trade up. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think
in round 2.
I think ideally you'd like to trade back a few spots and recoup that third round pick without maybe doing much damage to your 2025 draft. If you could go back 6 or 7 spots and pick up something, even if it's at the end of the third round, because I don't think with still a lot of holes to fill, you don't want to go 68 picks between choices here. That's a lot of players coming off the board. That's a lot of good players coming off the board. The thing that I like about the second round is, the first round seems fairly easy, especially the top 15 or 20 picks where, it's basically, okay, we know this guy's really good. Let's take him. But the second round is where you start to make some hay and you start to see if your evaluations are correct and how your board varies from other teams' boards. In other words, like last year, the Titans had a first round grade on Will Levis. So they traded up to get him because they were in the market for a quarterback of the future. They had a first round grade on Levis, probably in their top 20 to 25 players. He's still there. They go spend the draft capital to get him. And they've had really good luck in the past, finding good second round picks, whether, be Derrick Henry or A.J. Brown. They've also had some duds like Kevin Dodd that they completely whiffed on. So the second round is where you'll see 3 or 4 years from now, you'll see some guys develop into Pro Bowl talents. You'll see other guys get signed to somebody's practice squad and say, oh, he was a second round pick of such and such 3 years ago, but now he's, kind of washed out and needs another chance. So it's a really where the evaluation part of this draft, in my opinion, begins, because you get to see how good an assessment have you done of these prospects in finding people who fit your system and in finding people who can be a star outside the first round.
Terry, second round, if they actually execute this pick at 38, you feel like that has to be a receiver given that they went O-line last night?
I don't necessarily feel like it has to be. I think they'll play the board and try to go for the best. I think it could very well be a defensive player. It could be somebody like Junior Colston at linebacker who would fill a need. It could be somebody like Johnny Newton who could fill a need, from Illinois. Defensive tackle. It could be an edge rusher maybe that's left over. The other kid from Florida State, I think, was it Fiske? Is that his name? I think. It could be anybody like that. It could be Kool-Aid McKinstry, another Alabama player if they want to go.
I was going to say, is defensive back not where they,
You know,
would probably
Cooper
go, if
DeJean?
not wide receiver.
I mean, that's one of the areas. I mean, when you got as many needs as they've got, I don't think you can hone in on one spot and say, yeah, we're taking this guy here. Now, that said, if there's a guy there, if there's a receiver there, a Lad McConkey or somebody that they really like, you know, that can play that slot position that will allow DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley to operate on the outside, then by all means, you know, they'll have to consider that as well. But I think this is wide open here. I think now that they've addressed the elephant in the room, so to speak, with, you know, drafting J.C. Latham at number 7 overall, now that frees you up to start addressing the other needs with your picks and trying to get the best value and the most bang for your buck.
Guys.
I was going to say, Terry, you made a great point a moment ago, especially talking about rounds 2 and beyond. This is kind of where you really make your money if you're a GM or a scout, right? Because, like you said, the first round is easily executed. But if you are great at identifying talent, this is where you can really, really make some selections that are not just impactful, but you're talking about guys that could have huge roles on your team at positions. Yeah, you know, you go out and you get a quarterback in the second round. You know, that's an easy one to look at and grade success. But if you go out and find a defensive tackle or an offensive lineman, if that's a need, it seems like those are the rounds where you can really get some key players. And I'm fascinated to see what the Titans do tonight, because there seems like there's still quite a bit of first round talent, quote unquote, that's still available.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some first-round talents on a lot of people's boards. It's just a matter of how those boards differ from one team to another. You know, there's some teams that, you know, if you're really impressed with a guy, he may have a first-round grade on your board, but the team picking after you, he may have a low second-round grade on their board because he's not a fit for what they want to do, or they see something that they don't like in his game and that sort of thing. But you're right, Wade. It's one of those deals where starting tonight, this is what separates the good teams from the bad teams. The good teams find usable players up and down the draft, you know, all the way through round 7, guys who can do more than just run down and cover a punt. The bad teams, they find guys who, you know, they may find a good player here once in a while, but they find a lot of those guys that are gone in 2.5, 3 years.
We discussed the Penix move and some of the other kind of head scratchers from the first round. What else outside of Titans camp jumped out to you last night, Terry?
Well, you guys had discussed, you know, the Penix move, and you also discussed the Buffalo Bills, the head scratcher of that. It was like, let's just aid the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's give them the one thing that they need, which is a guy who can replace the production that Tyreek Hill potentially gave them because he can run and tear the top off the defense. So it's unbelievable that the Bills would do that, especially, I mean, it's one thing if the Bills are shopping for a guard, or if the Chiefs were shopping for a guard. The Bills are shopping for the exact same thing the Chiefs are. They need help at receiver after they traded Stephon Diggs and watched Gabe Davis walk out the building as a free agent. What are you doing?
Who is the GM at Buffalo?
Oh, gosh, you would ask.
Because, I mean,
whoever it is.
Doesn't he need to be polishing up his resume right about now?
He might.
Goodness gracious.
Brandon
I don't know
Beane.
who's in hotter water with their fan base, him or Terry Fontenot. They're both.
Yeah. Fontenot did not make any friends in Atlanta or the surrounding area last night. Brandon Beane, is that what you said, Chris?
Yes,
that is correct.
That's it. That's it.
Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him on Google here over the next few days.
He'll be on LinkedIn next week.
Wow. Terry McCormick, the Titan Insider, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Terry, man, we appreciate it, and maybe swinging back to you next week once this thing gets completed. So keep your phone on.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks. Hey, let's take a break. Let's get to this. Will be our final segment, right? Is that right?
Yes, indeedy.
On my count, it's our final segment of the week. So let's get to it. Here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, there is the bear hug.
He
Roger
just had
Goodell.
surgery, man. That's walking a thin line there, brother.
Hey, finish him off. Who knows? Um, let's go to break. Let's come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Final segment of our 2-hour show here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, Wade Neely, coming to you from the Lee Company studios. And it's the weekend update. We've touched on a lot of what I'm looking forward to this weekend, but I know Chris has got to be a little bit excited about what's going to be taking place at Municipal Auditorium tomorrow.
He's seated, but he's levitating a little bit.
He is. He's levitating. He's probably vibrating a little bit too. If you look real close.
Yeah. Well, just announced minutes ago, literally 23 minutes ago, that alongside Eli Gold in the booth this weekend will be Pete Weber.
Ooh.
How about that?
A little star power. A little more star power.
So the two of them who have called everything and under the sun, but both of them started and longtime hockey play-by-play guys inside Municipal Auditorium for arena football. Should be a lot of fun. Will be very, very interesting.
They open tomorrow.
They do indeed.
At 7:30 against the Minnesota Myth. They got to be purple, right?
They are not. They are orange and black.
Drop
orange
the ball.
And black.
They
did.
Yeah,
drop the ball. They dropped the ball bad.
Which is, I think that is an ode to Harley Davidson.
Okay. All right.
To some degree.
All right. Wait a minute. Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson's in Milwaukee.
Look, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of that. I think that's what they were going for. I don't really know.
Well,
they bit of a stretch for them then.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I got nothing.
Okay.
But I do know that the roster set, and we talked about that quarterback situation. Ramon Atkins did win the starting role. So, again, was the offensive rookie of the year 2 years ago in the Indoor Football League, two-year starter in the IFL. So I looked for the Cats to be very good. Here's the problem. The problem is, as excited as I am for Nashville Cats, I'm equally as unexcited for the Arena Football League. The Philadelphia Soul appears to not exist anymore. Their players were kicked out of their hotel rooms, according to a FLPA representative on Twitter. They were scheduled to play in Louisiana this weekend. That is not happening. It appears as if the Soul, and I'm not going to call them Philadelphia because they were going to play in Atlantic City or wherever, but the Soul seem to not exist at this point.
The Soul, who are scheduled to visit Municipal Auditorium on May 12th.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. So this is exactly. Listen, they were scheduled to play. They were scheduled to have NFL Network broadcast 3 games this weekend. None of that is happening.
Meanwhile, the Georgia Force, we talked about them earlier, probably off air, but they are playing all road games. Is that right, Chris?
The last time I saw a schedule on Arena Football, whatever their website is, they did have all road games. So listen, at this point, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. This is currently the most dysfunctional that this league has ever been.
Whoa.
I have heard.
Whoa. Stop.
Go ahead.
The most dysfunctional this league has ever been?
Oh, and it's not even close.
I'm going to defer
Paint
to
a
you.
grim picture, partner.
Well, the AFL has always finished their seasons, even when they had 4 teams 5 years ago. They finished their seasons. This league may finish its season with 4 teams. It will not finish them with all of the teams that are supposed to be in the league. That's a guarantee. One, because Philadelphia has basically already shut their doors. I've heard enough rumblings and rumors from people that I trust in the indoor football world that Nashville and the Indoor Football League are already in negotiations for 2025. And the Indoor Football League has been around for almost 30 years at this point. 25, I guess, actually, is probably a better, closer number. But the IFL established, it's a nationwide league. It has, legitimate ownership. They've never missed, they've never missed any payments. They've not missed any, they've had a couple teams here and there that have been shady, but the league as a whole is very legitimate, and they do their due diligence on their owners for the most part. And so I would feel much more comfortable if this were an indoor football league team than I do with an arena football league team. We'll see how it plays out. But I'll be there Saturday night, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And look, I'm Nashville, by all accounts, and everybody that will, if you talk to anybody who's associated with arena football, they will tell you that the Nashville Cats organization is the standard for this league. They've done everything right from the beginning, and they're still
everything.
Well, I mean, as far as setting up their team, setting up their front office. Now, obviously, they had some turnover in the front office from the announcement, but everything they've done is to solidify themselves as a team that's going to be here for years to come, not a, fly by the night organization like many of these folks are. Like the Oregon team. Remember, we talked about the Oregon team was the semi-pro coach was like, here are some of my players. How do I get them a tryout? Well, why don't you just be the coach? And so they were like, oh, you're interested? Please come join us. So anyway.
A football league that has been a bit more stable in its first year. The UFL heads into week 5 this weekend. They have a pair of games tomorrow. San Antonio is at Arlington, and Birmingham is at Houston. Both those games are at 7:00. Both those games are on Fox. That's interesting. On Sunday, St. Louis goes to the DC Defenders. That's a 12 noon kickoff on ESPN. And Michigan is at Memphis. That's at 3:00 on Fox. And I'm betting all those times are Eastern. So bump everything up an hour from what I
Yeah.
told you. But
Yeah, 6 o'clock on Fox. I think they're doing, they're doing the regional thing,
okay.
but it's
How regional can it be? It's all in the South.
well, and so last week's it wasn't. Last week was Michigan, so that'll be interesting to see how they
decide who gets
divide.
Birmingham and who doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the best way to do it, Fox Sports app. Go to the Fox Sports app. You can pick which game you want to watch. That's the way to do it.
It sounds a little too convenient. It sounds a little too convenient compared to other distributors for various sports entities.
It really does. Yeah. So Chris will be watching the Stallions while he's
On my
watching
phone.
the Cats.
Now that is impressive. Bravo, sir.
I'll be watching I'll make sure my phone is fully charged before I walk into Municipal Auditorium.
You may want to invest in a portable charger.
Yeah, that's that's the play.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there. Man, Birmingham has looked great, but we can't talk about the UFL without sending a heartfelt condolence to the career of the Shark Dog, one Scooby Wright III. 3-year starter for the Birmingham Stallions at middle linebacker. Hung his cleats up after a neck injury 2 weeks ago. Has rendered him unable to play at this point, and he is retiring from football. But man, that guy was the captain, the leader. Matter of fact, had the pick six to ice it in the first year in the USFL championship game. So we'll miss you, Shark Dog.
Shark Dog. Okay.
Epic nickname.
No doubt.
It really is. His name is Scooby. Why do you even need another nickname?
Why do you need a nickname?
At that point, yeah. What's the nickname?
It's kind of overkill. Right. Scooby the Shark Dog. What the? What?
he must have went to Ole Miss or wanted to.
There you go.
That is an Ole Miss name.
He needed 5 nicknames.
That would make sense.
And 3 different mascots. So anyway.
Oh goodness. The NBA playoffs continue. Wade is paying attention.
They do.
What are you looking out for this weekend?
I want to see what Phoenix can possibly do at home. They look like they're on life support right now. They got Minnesota coming in. That'll be the late game tomorrow night. Looks like Dallas and LA is back on as a series after Dallas got a nice win to even that one. And same
just
can be
basketball. Wade, it's just basketball.
Well, hey, all right, simmer down, LeBron. Great tweet, by the way, I saw earlier today. I think it was our buddy Bobondi Jones. He pointed out, he said, give LeBron one more game, and he's going to go back to that famous Heat press conference where he basically belittled everybody and said, look, we didn't get it done, but I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and I'm basically still LeBron James, and y'all got to wake up and go to y'all's jobs. Y'all got to do whatever y'all got to do. He said, give him one more loss at home. We're in store for another epic LeBron post-game press conference, or we might even be veering into faking injury territory because Denver has absolutely clobbered them. The Lakers have led by 10+ in all 3 games, and they have never at any point looked like they were going to win any of those 3 games.
Let me tell you 3 words that would have never come out of Michael Jeffrey Jordan's mouth. It's just basketball. Not never. Is when you would have heard him say that.
No. Very excited to see Sunday. The schedule kicks off. The Knicks and Philadelphia looks like that's going to continue to be a fun series after Philly got a nice win at home. I'm thinking outside of a few of these series, obviously Boston and Miami has suddenly morphed into one. A few of these series out of nowhere have kind of turned into some rather entertaining basketball. After the first couple of nights, you were thinking they were going to all be duds in the first round. It looks like we might end up getting a few decent series out of this whole thing.
And what's crazy is, you talk about Boston, Miami's without Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, Joel Embiid is dealing with some health issues. It's kind of crazy how it's next man up in a lot of these situations, I guess. So,
Mark, please check the chat before we get out of here. We got to see this.
Please play this, he says.
We're getting close. So when I see a please play this, I'm going to stop, collaborate, and listen. But
yeah, well, as you can see, it comes from at TNN Voice. Mike Keith. Let's just say he got a little taste.
Will you do it? Yeah. Okay, come on. Oh, congratulations. Yeah.
Wow.
Your first knockdown is a Titan.
He went full WWE on the oversell there, too. Good job by
he said he got
the voice
dizzy.
of the Titans.
Well, and the thing is, Mike is a little bit smaller than Roger Goodell, too. So that I'm not sure how much of that was. I'm not sure how much of that was an oversell.
By the way, while we're talking feats of strength, I did just see this. You guys might have saw this too. Cole Kublik pointed this out earlier or last night, I guess. The J.C. Latham bench press recently, 505 pounds for 2 reps, which is bonkers enough. But then also has been squatting 900 pounds, which is having to feature resistance bands on the bar. You can't even get that much weight on the bar. You're having to bring out chains and resistance bands at that point.
It's insane.
I think one of the phrases I saw describing him yesterday is ain't too many humans like him walking around on this earth, and clearly that's accurate.
Same can be said for Mims, who last night on NFL Network, Mims on his notes on the screen, it just said massive. That's literally the descriptor it said, which is massive. It didn't say anything about his skill or his technique. It just said massive.
It comes in handy at tackle.
Happy?
Are we happy?
With J.C. Latham?
I think it's going to be a good pick, and especially with Callahan molding him.
Yeah, that certainly
Alabama does not have a great history at producing quality NFL tackles, but with Callahan working,
the last right tackle that Bill Callahan drafted and made left tackle is one of the best left tackles in the league right now, and he came from Alabama.
I'm feeling okay with it. I know the fans last night were, I think it was more the fans were just devastated by the 2 picks coming in right before them, and then short of drafting Odunze or somebody, a really flashy pick, I think everybody was going to be kind of underwhelmed last night.
I think underwhelmed is the right word. And I think eventually it's going to be fine because, as we've said, they almost had to go tackle just because we were so inept at that position this past season. And I wouldn't expect that to continue to be the case. Somebody's going to win an MLS game tomorrow night at 7:30 at Geodis. Well,
Not
theoretically,
necessarily.
maybe not, because San Jose comes in 1-0-8. Nashville is 1-4-3. So, I mean, they may not win, but you're not going to Geodis, Wade, I take it?
I will not be there. And that's going to be a stinker tomorrow night. Nashville better win that. If they draw or lose, you just fold it up. And there's already been chatter about, shake up at the coach and the GM level. That will only increase.
Don't they have somebody coming back? A couple of somebody's coming back from injuries.
Zimmerman,
is Walker Zimmerman supposed to be back?
Yeah, I think Zimmerman has returned, so he's so much better in the lineup. Hey, real quickly before we get out of here, we got to give a shout out to Mo, who was with us all week battling through, and he gets to celebrate in style on Sunday. How about that? That's all I'm going to say. What's coming up Sunday, folks?
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for the shout out, Wade. We're still battling. We're going to keep battling. We do it for 2 hours
to celebrate
every day.
The illness.
We do it 2 hours every day, 2 to 4, Monday through Friday, right here. Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. For Chris Wade, we'll see y'all Monday.